Yeah, and again, we were talking before we started recording about just there's so many things that are happening right now. It's almost like you can't even see past the next week. There's just so many impactful UFO podcasts, documentaries, articles. It's no longer like a surprise to see in a headline somewhere that we have a recovered non-human technology and non-human bodies, right? Reverse engineering programs. It's now part of the mainstream discourse around UAP. Just a few years ago, in 2017, it was like, oh well, there's UAP, but we don't know what they are. And you can see gradually, and I dare to say strategically, that conversation has shifted from there's UAP, we don't know what they are, to crash retrievals, non-human intelligence, uh, non-human biologics, to psionics and interactions with non-human intelligence. uh, what do you think comes next in the conversation?
Well, I think one aspect that's been hinted at by people like David Grush that has not come out so much is to what degree have there been accords, right? So, to what degree has there been not only knowledge of these beings, but perhaps even some sort of agreement that has been made? We have all heard these stories about the Eisenhower administration and, overtures that were made by one kind of non-human intelligence that was turned down, another one kind of showed up, and that ended up being the one the accord was made with. We have Jason Sands talking about a being that he ran into, blue skinned being that seemed very positive, that was wearing kind of military clothing, though. This is something that comes up over and over again, right? This notion that sometimes people run into not just what look like alien beings, but also human beings, and not necessarily human beings from, on another planet or from the future, but seem to be somehow connected to our military in some way. So I think the cooperation that may have been in play here is the X factor. And I think this is where, speaking of Jim Semivan and indigestibility, that will be a shock to the system. And I think one thing that has happened that I've noticed, being a more progressive person, I've nevertheless seen that the left politically tends to put that in conspiracy theory camp and doesn't think that's even possible, let alone that NHI could be here. But you're talking about us making agreements with them, with our military industrial complex. Come on, that sounds ridiculous. And yet that seems to be what the evidence points towards. So, what is the nature of those agreements? To what degree are they still active today? How will disclosure change those or bring them to the surface? What role is or will NHI have in this entire disclosure process? I think that, is the X factor, the agreements, the accords, and what role is or will NHI have in this ongoing societal conversation?